Welcome to the SOB radio show, where we have fun, interesting guests, and hot topics. Each week, we offer insights into music, fashion, health, fitness, and humor. Do you have the perfect guest for us to interview? I want to know. Drop me a line on our Facebook page at SpunkyOldBroad1 or reach out to me on our website at spunkyoldbroad.com. And now, back to the show. Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Gail Carson, and I'm delighted to have you join me for the SOB radio show. I have a very interesting guest for you today, but before that, I just want to make sure that you know that you can have a conversation with me anytime you would like. If you want to get in touch with me, go to my website, spunkyoldbroad.com, fill out the contact sheet, let me know if you want to talk about something in particular, you want to suggest a guest, you have a particular issue you want us to discuss on air, whatever it is, I'd be happy to be in touch with you. Now, my guest today is someone who is very interesting because I think many of you may have used an acupuncturist at some point. But my guest is Namu. Her name is Namu, but her given name is Namrata Chansarkar. And she is a licensed acupuncturist, board certified both nationally and in the state of California. She was working in the biotechnology industry when a life-changing health experience introduced her to acupuncture. Since then, she left her biotechnology career behind. Acupuncture was pivotal in restoring her health naturally. The experience of acupuncture, food therapy, and lifestyle changes were transformative and inspired her to study acupuncture and Chinese medicine. She graduated from the Pacific College of Oriental Medicine in San Diego with her master's degree and recently completed her coursework for Doctor of Acupuncture and Chinese Medicine. Well, welcome, Namu. It's great to have you with us today. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you, Gail.
Wonderful. Well, I know you have a private practice in Encinitas, and I know that you are passionate about what you do and you love to help people, both in health and wellness and many other areas. And I think it's interesting. Your hobbies are not only traditional Chinese medicine as a passion, but gardening and nature hikes and Indian classical dance, beading, jewelry, and cooking. And you can't get more diverse than that. So we're gonna talk about some of those things. But let's get started with finding out what prompted you to want to share your story now.
Um, yeah, so for last 9 years, I would say I had been hiding this story and had been very selective of whom I share my personal story with. I'm a breast cancer survivor, and the reason I did not share this story before was the word cancer itself used to scare everyone. Whenever I say cancer, I would see the look on their face, and it would be like a little bit scary. Oh, is she alive? Like, what's wrong? So, um, I met you recently last month in, I would say, in a business development networking workshop, and you shared the story very boldly and bravely in front of people. And that really shifted a lot of people's attitude towards life, I felt, and towards in a positive way. And I had been asked many times to share my story openly in public, but I had a couple of reasons why I was always hesitant to share my story. The first reason, as I mentioned, was like the scare and fear in them about my health. And then the second was the sympathy I would receive from people because whenever I would tell that I had been sick, although I'm fine now, they would always go back to that moment where I was not well. And that I did not like that sympathy. When I say the scare and fear about my health in other people, I was born and raised in India, and then I came here 26 years ago to North America. So I still have a lot of family and friends in India. And when you are that far apart in distance and you hear like a cancer diagnosis, there's a lot of scare and there are a lot of questions and worry. And I did not want to put them in a circle of worry and questions when I was very happy and living my life fully here. And hence, I did not share my story. But now I feel after meeting you, and also it just happened, I met many people in last few months that they were all saying that I need to share this story openly and in public to give hope to other people so that people feel positive, that there is a chance. It's not always a very devastating prognosis. It's not always that bad, and you can have a normal life in spite of the diagnosis.
Well, I want to jump in here, Namu, and say that in the beginning, remember, mine is a 31-year journey. This is my fourth case of breast cancer, and it's a 31-year journey. So the
Uh-huh,
first time I got the diagnosis, it was 1987,
uh-huh,
and people did not talk about cancer then. If you, I agree with you. At that time, if you said anything, it was like a death sentence.
yeah.
However, I wanted to do something about that. So back then, back in 1987, I did a PSA, a public service announcement, where I told people that it was so important for them to go and get a mammogram because
Mm-hmm,
that was the way they would first find out, other than self exams and so forth.
mm-hmm,
But
right.
mammograms were so important. And
Mm-hmm,
back in 1987, they traced 250 people who got mammograms because of that public service announcement, because I had done that. I
right.
also never ever joined a support group for some of the same reasons you just said. I
Mm-hmm,
didn't want people to feel sorry for me. I did not feel sorry for me. I
mm-hmm,
did all of this alone. As a matter of fact, my doctors said to me after so many treatments and episodes, "Aren't you married?" And of course, I was at the time. I was not widowed yet. And in fact, for all three of my other cancers, my husband was there. But he
mm-hmm,
never came with me because I didn't need him to come with me. I was
mm-hmm,
perfectly able to do this all on my own, and I was happier doing it that way. So
mm-hmm,
I get exactly what you were saying. I get the fact that people get nervous when you mention the word. I get the fact that you didn't want to have people feel sorry for you, and I get the fact that it was, especially coming from another culture, it
mm-hmm,
was just not something that was brought to the forefront.
right.
However, the amazing thing, and it is not a good amazing thing, it is not a positive amazing thing, more younger women are being diagnosed with breast cancer
Mm-hmm,
today than ever before. So it's very important that we talk about it. It's very important that they get diagnosed, and some of them are actually too young to get a mammogram. They have to do something much more deep because their breasts are not they can't be seen through
mm-hmm,
mammogram. So
yes.
anyway, I do applaud you for getting involved and telling your story now. So
Yes.
why you were in biotech. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
why did you switch to Chinese medicine?
Yeah, so it's very interesting. I would look at my own life and see where I came from and who and where I am right now. Since childhood, I was always interested in science, technology. Although I grew up in India, I was nurtured by my parents in a way so that education was a priority. Although I was the only girl in the family, I I have several postgraduate degrees from India as well as here. Like I have a degree in nutrition, in education, as well as I have a couple of degrees here in biotechnology itself. When I came here in 1993, I got married and came to Vancouver, Canada. I did a master's in biotechnology, and that was my dream. Like I wanted to do a PhD, but like just doing masters there was my dream come true. I was very, I would say, right time, right place. I got like a perfect job. I was working with scientists there who are Harvard fellows, and like my boss there had published like 25 books and like n number of things. So I just felt like I was so blessed to be working in the biotech industry. I had worked on pre-formulations, I had publications, I did a lot of analytical development. My last job in San Diego was at Biogen IDEG, and ironically, I was working on cutting edge oncology drugs. And I was very happy with the work I was doing. And I thought at that time that I was taking care of my own health the best way I can. I was going to the gym regularly, I was doing yoga, I was still pursuing my hobbies, I was dancing, gardening, I was volunteering at my kids' school. I absolutely thought I was living my dream life and things could not have been better ever. But then in July of 2009, this diagnosis of breast cancer came. And it was only stage one. It was not like, this cancer had not spread. I knew the prognosis was good. I was always upbeat and optimistic. And as you mentioned, you did a lot of things on your own. I actually went to all my MRIs, all my radiation by myself. I drove there and I used to go to work after radiation every day. So I just thought I was a superwoman in that way. Now I feel because at that time I realized this was normal. I can do it. I can take care of myself. I can do this. And I had a lot of surgeries because they were afraid I have cancer also in ovaries because the PET scan was lighting up in my ovaries. So I had my ovaries removed. I had radiation. Luckily, my score was low, so I did not need chemotherapy. And I was working and I was holding really strong emotionally. And like life was still like going on. It didn't stop for me, or it didn't feel like there was a setback in my life. But then after that, the standard treatment for breast cancer for postmenopausal women, and I was only 41 at that time, is to put them on aromatase inhibitors. And that is what my oncologist did. She put me on aromatase inhibitors and she said, you have to take this for 5 years, which is a standard therapy. And I said, okay, I can do that. And I started taking the aromatase inhibitors. And in a month or two, I started realizing like I was feeling like migraine, dizziness. Then there was brain fog. And I was a scientist working in the lab. So it was really difficult for me to run the experiments or even stand in the lab because I was afraid, what if I fall off here? Because I was constantly feeling dizzy. So it really pushed me back. That was the point that like what is happening to me. And then couple of months later, like 2 to 3 months later, what started happening was I was having this severe arthritis symptoms where I broke all my china in the sink because I had no grip in my fingers. My knees were hurting as if I felt like I have aged twice or thrice my age, and I could not even go up and down the stairs without holding on to the rail. I could not go alone for walks anymore because I was always dizzy. My oncologist switched the aromatase inhibitors to the different, there are slight variations of the molecule, and I tried them all, but each one of them gave some very drastic side effects that I wasn't able to tolerate. So then I had a choice to switch to tamoxifen, but the results from tamoxifen were so not that great. So I was really trying hard to keep taking the aromatase inhibitor. And I would say that was my breaking point where I just broke down. I wasn't able to sleep. I wasn't able to fall asleep or stay asleep. I had to like go off work because I just could not do my job very efficiently. And kind of being a type A person always, it was very difficult for me to accept that if I show up at job and if I can't give my 100%, it's not the right thing. So I need to change something. So I had to let go of my
I'm
job.
going to stop you here. I'm going to stop you here, Namu, because there's a couple of points that you've made
Sure.
that I want to bring out. Number one, you were 41 when you
Yeah.
got your diagnosis. I was 49. I
Okay.
too, when I went, I only went to get a mammogram because they were
Uh-huh.
doing a push for them. And my
Uh-huh.
husband said to me, I really think you ought to get this done. And I said, well, why? I said, I'm so healthy. I said, I
Hmm.
work out all the time. I eat
Right.
right. I'm not quite 50 yet. Why? And he said, just go, just do it. So I
Mm-hmm.
went, and that's how they found it, because I went, and when no one was more shocked
Sure.
than I was. Now I will tell you
Uh-huh.
that I did the same thing you did. Well, my first time I went through radiation in the morning. Then I would go to the gym and work out. I would come
Mm-hmm.
back home, eat lunch, take a shower, go back for a second radiation treatment. And then
Mm-hmm.
around 3 o'clock, because my first one was at 8 in the morning, my second one was 2 in the afternoon. So around 3 o'clock, I would then start work, and I worked till 9 o'clock every night.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of similarities there. The only
Yes.
thing that
Uh-huh.
did not happen to me was that
Uh-huh.
I did not have any adverse reactions. I've had 16 surgeries between
Oh, wow.
all the cancer diagnosis, and
Uh-huh.
I had reconstruction, then my implants burst, and then
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was just one thing after another,
After another. Uh-huh.
but I did not have a negative reaction to any medication. So I was on tamoxifen for 5 years, and then they put me on, um, well, I took the generic drug anastrozole,
Mm-hmm.
and I stayed on that far longer than
Mm-hmm.
I needed to. And when I went to my doctor and I said, it's over. We've done the how many years I'm supposed to do this. What do you think I should do? He said, well, because by that time I had had my third diagnosis. He said, your case is so unusual, and it was
Mm-hmm.
so drastic. The last one that I had, which was 2004,
Mm-hmm.
before this, he said, let's just stay on it. Well, you can see that it didn't do any good because it came back again. So we're on a totally new regimen now, one that is
Mm-hmm.
not even was not even developed 3 years ago. So it
Mm-hmm.
shows you all the new methodologies that they've got. Now, I'm not saying that they are any better at
Right.
preventing it, but they are better at treating it. So, so let's go a little bit further
Mm-hmm.
and talk about what actually got you into Chinese medicine and
Yes.
how that has helped you.
Sure, I was getting there. So this basically in this time of hardship, I was very frustrated. I was on the maximum dose of ibuprofen, especially for my migraine and my headaches, and my arthritis was so severe. So my oncologist just put me on a lot of ibuprofen to reduce the inflammation. And I was taking that, but still that was not helping me with the pain. I still was in pain. And when that happened, one day I just went back to my oncologist on a regular bi-monthly appointment. And I said, I just don't know. I know I need to take this drug, but it's not working for me. I can't live like that for very long because it's very frustrating. And then she basically said to me, we have this free clinic of acupuncture right here on campus at San Diego Cancer Research Institute. At that time, that was the name of the institute. And why don't you go and try? And I I was really hesitant. I will be honest. I am a acupuncturist now, but I was very hesitant because I was afraid of needles, and being a scientist, I didn't really understand what they were going to do to me. So I had a lot of reservations of going there. But that was like my last chance. Okay, I've tried everything. Nothing is working. So let me try this. So I went. And when I went there, it totally changed how I felt. So I most of my symptoms were temporarily reduced. It didn't go away permanently, but my migraine was certainly better. My dizziness was completely gone. My brain fog was better. And then my arthritis was, I would say, reduced by 50%. My hot flashes were better. There's a lot of symptoms that I was having that got better. So at that time, I would describe like when I went through my treatments. For me, what the drug did to me was like menopause magnified 100 times. That's how I put it in simple words. It was really bad at that moment, and acupuncture literally shifted everything for me.
That's interesting. I because I have had acupuncture, but not on a consistent basis like you have. I've gone for Not actually, I never did go for cancer. I went because I had back pain. I went because, I don't know, whatever it was. It had more to do with aches and pains than it had to do with cancer. I did not actually go to acupuncture for cancer. And I've probably gone maybe a half a dozen times, certainly nothing that anybody could write home about or say you're an expert in having these treatments. However, interestingly enough, my mom did a
Mhm.
lot of acupuncture. She really liked it, and she said it really helped her arthritis. And
Mhm.
so, and I know people who swear by it. So it
Yes.
evidently did the thing for you. But what else? What else? We only have about 5 minutes left in our
Okay.
first segment. What else besides acupuncture did you do with Chinese medicine?
Yes. So when it comes to, I tried everything. First, I actually went to biofeedback. I did Tibetan sound healing. I did energy healing. I did Reiki. I practiced yoga. I meditated. You name it, and I tried everything. I did the diets. I did everything. Like I did. Okay, this is a anti-inflammatory tried. Avoid nightshade. Avoid this. Like I tried everything, but nothing was helping me to the extent that eliminate the symptoms significantly enough that I can see a shift. They would help me temporarily, say for a day or two, and then again the symptoms would come back. So it was not like there was no cumulative effect of it, or there was also no access to it because I feel like the my college had that free clinic where the interns would treat us twice a week. I did not think, oh, does the insurance cover it? And it was only for cancer patients that free clinic, and we still have it in Encinitas here. So I just went there, and those interns were so loving and caring. They took care of me. So I can't thank enough for that experience in my life.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So, if you were to, I know that you support breast cancer patients. How do you go about supporting them?
I support in every way. As I said in the beginning, I was very secretive about this whole breast cancer thing, but I talk to them on phone. I used to go to cancer support group, not just breast cancer, but cancer support groups. I take a lot of free phone calls if they have questions and they just need someone to talk to who had been through that experience. I educate them, especially in the Indian community. I participate in a lot of local events and I try to literally talk to women. Sometimes they might feel I'm stalking them, but I'm like, did you do your mammogram? Do you know what is a breast self exam? Have you ever done this? Do you feel this symptom? Do you have any history of breast cancer? I talk about all the risk factors of breast cancer, like the prior history, or if you have fibrocystic breast, how do they feel to you? How is your period like? So these are the questions that I feel like, at least in the Indian community, these questions, women, I don't think they were open to really talk about. I remember the first few events I did, when I was trying to have a booth and trying to talk to people, there was a lot of pushback. Oh, why is she talking about breast health in the some like a Diwali show? Like what? Like even the kids, they were like, shh, like let's not talk about this in front of people. That's how I got in the beginning. But I think I broke that ice within the community that I got them engaged to talk about it.
Well, it is a key area. It's very, very important for people to be open about this now. And it is in certain cultures not talked about. It's
Right.
also in some cultures, it's more predominant. For example, in the African American culture, breast cancer is more uh, actually happens more than in the white culture.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, a lot of the women do not go for diagnostics because they can't afford it. And
Right.
so it's so important if any community can give free mammograms, or if any community can get behind a push for getting these, uh, these diagnostic areas able, for example, like your PET scan. I mean, you would
Yeah,
never have known there was a problem in your ovaries if
right,
you had not had that done. And ovarian cancer is almost impossible to
right.
detect. So
Yeah, but
you
yeah,
got
but
ahead of that.
for that, I really have to thank my oncologist, Dr. Rupa. She is an amazing doctor, and although she does not say believe in the Eastern, she didn't believe in the Eastern medicine at that time. She is a patient advocate. She would do everything that is good for the patient. And I'm also blessed because it just happened. She was living in my neighborhood and we had known each other, but we grew, our bond grew, and she helped me so much unconditionally.
Well,
Like,
I have to
she,
say, we're going to have to stop here for part one, folks. We're at the end of our first segment. Namu will be with us
sure,
in part two. But right now, we're going to take a break. Stay with us, and we'll be back
sure,
for part two
sure.
of our program.
Thank you.